Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Inspire Health Podcast. And today we brought back a guest that we had on our series back, believe it was in the trauma series. We did a two-part with our good friend Darryl Williams, who is a Mohawk elder. And we wanted to bring him on today to share the indigenous perspective around the cycle of death, rebirth, what lies beyond, and really just get together and have a good conversation with Darryl again. So, Darryl, welcome to joining us on the show again.
It's awesome to see you. Thank you for this invite again. Yeah.
It's great to see you again too. It's been I can't remember how long ago. I'll put links to
There's
the
two other
episode that we did.
talks. There's two other talks where we had Darryl. So I know one you were with Christine, and then the other one you were on your own. So we'll post those two links. Those
Yeah.
were both wonderful conversations. So if you're interested, please check those out as well.
Okay. So you guys want to get into the cycle of birth and death? I,
Yeah,
I I refer to it as birth and birth because we understand there is no death, right? The spirit, the soul goes through these cycles, and we're in the cycle of Mother Earth constantly. Sky Woman, as we talked about in the creation story last time. So we're constantly in her dream, dreaming in her dream. So we're in this beautiful cycle, right? So the process of so-called dying, death, there's no such thing. So we go to sleep at night, and we go unconscious for 6 to 8 hours, and we have no identity. We don't know who we are. We don't know where we go. If you're conscious of it, then we can really get creative with our dream state, right? So that's like a practice of going into spirit world, of dying, you know. But we come here through our mother's vehicle. We take birth, and we're practicing every night. So when we leave our body and go in spirit world, we're rebirthing into spirit world. And we come back, we wake up in the morning, and we're like, thank you, Great Spirit, for this beautiful life, right? I'm waking my eyes. It's beautiful. And when we come in, sometimes we dream, and we have some interesting dreams. So that's all part of this cycle. So the dream state, I know when I have dreams, I'm so excited. Sometimes I'll dream of, whatever, it's a bear, an eagle. So I know spirit is talking to me, right? And then you have to interpret it, what spirit is trying to tell you. What does the dream mean? But we're going through from spirit world coming back to physical, so it's birth, rebirth, constant, right? Yeah. So it's just understanding it in a different context, I guess. And start and getting away from the whole death thing, because so many people are afraid of the death cycle, right? Of dying and then leaving your body. But, how many times have we done it, right? I mean, countless times. We keep incarnating on this realm, Mother Earth, and there's big reasons for that. It's a big experiment. So we're dreaming in Mother Earth's experiment, and we're trying to figure it out as we go along, right?
Darryl, when you say experiment, can you speak a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Mother Earth's experiment.
Yeah, well, we are great spirit in physical form, right? All of us. So we're experiencing this experiment of life and what it is to experience it for great spirit in the physical form. So, and the main cause of that is love, right? The heart, to open the heart, the mind, to merge one, so we can really understand nature and creation. So when we get into um, uh, the culture, everybody, it doesn't matter where you're from on the planet, everyone has a culture. Maybe some have forgotten their culture, but it doesn't really matter. So when we do ceremony for our loved ones who pass on, we use the sacred tobacco, which was given to us from our creation. And we use the fire, of course, so that carries our prayers through the sun. So we connect with universe, right? And so connecting on this level, when the person first leaves their body that day, we'll do a ceremony like that, burn tobacco, and give guidance to the spirit in case it goes in shock, or because sometimes, you know, they're carrying a heavy load on them. So we'll do that, and then after 10 days, the spirit will be, it won't be here, and it's not in the physical realm, it's not in the spirit world yet. It's in between worlds. It's sort of like that in-between state, we call it. It's a bardo, where it's clearing all the lessons that it went through in this lifetime. And it's shedding its skin, right? Like sort of like a snake sheds its skin, and then it gets reborn again, right? The rebirthing process takes place. So when we go into the 10th day, where we're doing the feast for our loved one on the 10th day, we count the first day as day 1. Then on the 10th day, we do a feast in the evening with the family, close friends. And we'll make food, the favorite food of that person. And we call in the spirit and all the ancestors, because they're all working hand in hand to help the spirit transition from the physical to the spiritual. So we do our part on the physical, and the spirit side does its part. So it's like putting your hand in a glove, right? They both work together, and they synchronize with each other. Spirit, physical, we have to. So on that 10th day, we call the spirit back, our loved one, who's always around anyways in those 10 days. It's just going through the transformation process. So on that 10th day, we invite them to come eat, to have their last meal with us. And all the ancestors will come in. So, and that night, the family and friends will stay up the whole night talking about all the good times they had with the spirit. All the happy times in life, the joyful times, right from their birth all right till the end. All the good times, the love, the joy, the ceremonies, the singing, whatever they had, the good feast we had, the good times, the life we shared with each other. So we go through that, and then in the next morning, when the sun is coming up, just at the crack of dawn, when the sun is coming up, the person who's designated will take the food and go bury it. And at that time, that's when the spirit now will go back and enter the portal of the sun. See, Sky Woman, when she first came here in creation, she came through the sun. Okay, that's the tree of life. It's symbolic of the sun, because it said the tree was uprooted in the higher realms, and she came down through the roots, so she came through the sun. So you say when the spirit goes back on that 10th day, it'll go through that portal of the sun. You're going back to Great Spirit, to the light. So that's what we're made of, right? Light, vibration, sound, frequency. And these are all within our songs we sing, and even the communication we have. It's all vibration. So this is what it's all about. You're connecting with Mother Earth constantly. That's spirit. The heartbeat, the drum beat. So when we drum, we're connecting with the drum beat of Mother Earth. So the number 10 is significant. Number 1 is just oneness with source, right? And of course, the 0 is the 0 point energy. It's just like the quantum field everybody talks about. It's everything. And the 0 itself is a sphere, so it's connecting. It tells you about Mother Earth, about the sun, the universe. Everything is a sphere, like a woman's womb, right? That's where we come from. So we come in here and then we go back through that portal. And this is, but in every culture, it doesn't matter what the ritual is. It's good, whatever they do. It all works, right? Even if you don't have a ritual, we are the ritual within ourselves. If you don't have a ritual, you just speak from your heart, your mind to Great Spirit. Help my loved one. You know, you can offer your prayer from your heart, your love. And it's the intention that's important. So there's not one ritual that's better than the other. You know, you interview a lot of people and, you know, they talk about, you know, whatever ritual and whatever they do, and it's all good and it's all important. It's so important to help.
Yeah, I think that's what is helpful for people, is to hear lots of different pieces of it, and then just see what sits for you, what really lands in your heart, and maybe gives you ideas on things that you might be able to incorporate in these processes. I when you're going through the 10 days, is it everything? Like you talked about a lot of talking about even like the good times and remembering the joy and all of those pieces. Is there also a lot of mourning and sadness that comes up? Is it sort of a space for like everything to kind of transpire?
Exactly. That's a very good point. The 10 days is a release of you know, sorrow, because we have that. I mean, we love to an extent where we feel sorry, right? We feel sad. So the crying process is there, and you got to, that's a healing process. So we go through that healing process in that 10 days. And I'll use my own experience as an example with my family. My mother passed on many years ago. We did a feast, and my family, my sisters, are not traditional in our native way. They're Christian, okay? So we did the feast, but the feast, the ceremony itself, is not just for the one who passed on. It's not just for the spirit, it's for the living, to help them to heal and not feel the sorrow. You feel it within that time span. But I remember when we did the ceremony, my sister said, I don't feel sad. I said, yeah, that's the ceremony, the feast. It lifts that. It lifts that from your mind, the sadness. So you're so happy that they shared their life with you, and you feel joy. See, if our loved ones, if you could feel what they feel when they go in spirit world, you want to be with them, right? But you know, we got to do our time here. You know, we can't go jump off the bridge and just say, I want to be in, and many people do, right? They take that path because they don't understand the importance and meaning of life. So we came here for that great experiment again, this thing of life. And you know, maybe some of us came from 4, 5, 6D, where it's still much physical, but not that physical. You know, now we got all these numbers, right? Which is good. We always had numbers, but now we're going to another level, because we always remember when we go through the cycle. We always remember it goes in 6,000 years, 12,000 years, the Mayan calendar, 24,000. So we remember Atlantis. Now the memories start coming back, and then we remember Lemuria. So we're in the same cycle. It repeats itself in a little different way, but history repeats itself. There's no getting away from it. You know, you can't run and hide from it. You don't want to. So everybody, I see so many people, especially online, and they're survivalist people. They're going in the mountains on higher ground because there's big earth changes coming, right, with the water. They're building shelters and they're storing food to survive the so-called Earth cataclysms. I say, okay, it's good to do that, but you need to have connection with spirit, with Mother Earth. That's what we need to do. That's all we need to do. You see? Because when it comes down to it, we are going to be guided to certain locations on the planet. This is our prophecy. There's doorways, portals. I don't know if we talked about this last time.
No.
No, but that's in our 7th-generation prophecy. So when the Earth's going through the big transformation, the big shift, we're going into the new world. So we're going to be guided to certain locations, even like where I live here in the St. Lawrence Valley. This is all going to be underwater one day, right? We know that. So our prophecy tells us we're going to go back into the mountain, and we're going to be guided to those mountains. See, the Hopis, they already know where they're going. They're going into the Grand Canyon. There's a portal down there, a doorway. So they go into the inner earth. That's where they came into this realm through the Grand Canyon. So they came up. They were inside of Mother Earth, and they came up, and they say that star beings, the ant people, were helping them. They were small beings. They look sort of like who knows what they look like, but they said they call them ant people. You know, I don't like to use the term alien, this star family. And so we're very close to that time now, because we're living in the 7th-generation time, and we're going through this shift where you know, we hear about the earth changes, we hear about all these things. I listen to the scientists, and I just look at it as, and I look at our prophecies, and I said, yeah, we're right there now. We're right there. So I remember just recently one of the scientists was saying, he just heard about this. This was about 6 weeks ago. He said they found a big magma plume under North America, a big ball of lava. And he says, the other scientists, all these brothers, saying it's pushing up on the continent of North America. So I says, oh, that's a beautiful thing, because we're on Turtle Island. So I said, that's the turtle pushing up, pushing up. You see, it's creating change.
It gives such change in context. This is what I find so valuable right now in our journey over the last several years. But it's like the more that you can connect back to, I think, like traditional wisdom, traditional stories, traditional prophecies, it gives context for what's showing up right now. Otherwise, I feel like it just all feels totally chaotic. And that's what I think sparks a lot of fear and challenge for people. But when you have this sort of perspective that it's like there's a greater order to things, and there's sort of natural laws that are taking place in a lot of ways, it gives a whole different context to what's coming up. And you can see some of these things that might look like, you know, you use the word cataclysmic or chaotic, but it's like it gives a bigger sort of emergence and a purpose to what's going on. And I find for us, that's given us so much solace, because it actually, like you were saying, kind of goes, okay, we're actually on track. And then more, what's my role to be a part of that, to usher that in a greater way, as opposed to then just backing up and sort of being in fear, and how do I kind of create self-preservation? And I mean, it opens up a whole different way of looking at what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. You see, everybody talks about the ascension, right? On a daily basis, you're hearing it on YouTube, you name it. That's all you hear is ascension, ascension. It's beautiful, you know, going into the new world. But at the same time, you have many people, like you said, the fear part. They're trying to save Mother Earth. They're trying to heal the waters, which is not a bad thing. They're trying to, you know, the air's polluted, the water's polluted. Everything is going through a transformation. They're trying to say, we have to save the Earth. You're not going to save Mother Earth. She doesn't want to be saved in this realm. It's just understanding of graduation and shifting from 3D to a new paradigm. We have to let go of it, right? If we don't let go, we're holding on to fear. We're identifying ourselves with 3D. That's not who we are. We're spirit here, right? We're just using our bodies to experience this. We're going to move on to a beautiful existence. That's what happened in Lemuria, Atlantis. And way beyond that, there was other civilizations here going beyond Lemuria. That's only, that was like yesterday in cosmic time, right? So it's just looking at the whole understanding of accepting the way things are and the way things have to be. So the Great Spirit, we're always in our prophecy, it says, you're going to be taken care of. Just live in harmony with nature, with Mother Earth. And you're going to be guided. So a lot of people think, oh, okay, there's going to be massive earthquakes, floods, you name it. And they think they're going to, die. And I says, don't look at it that way. I says, we've gone down with the ship many times, let me tell you. We look at Atlantis, it sunk, right? The Mayans had left Atlantis about 200 years prior because they knew it was going to sink. And they were getting guidance. It's the same thing with us. We're going to get guidance to go to certain locations on the planet. And you'll have the spiritual people who are awake enough to listen to these visions. If you don't listen, then okay, that's your choice. There's nothing wrong with that either. We're going through an amazing experience here. I mean, jump from one realm to let's say even 4D. Everybody's talking about going into 5D. I don't even go there. 5D. You have 99% of spiritual beings on this couldn't comprehend 5D. They couldn't go from 3D to 5D unless you're doing spiritual work every day on yourself. You see? You have to be meditating. You have to be clearing your crap, your karma. You don't clear your spiritual baggage. So you think you're going to jump from 3 to 5D. No, that's unconditional love. You see? We got to get through the conditions here because we're very conditional. There's very few on the planet who are unconditional. And it's, I've been many, many masters and, Buddhists, Kriya, they're beautiful beings, enlightened beings. And they're even enlightened to certain levels. Some are fully enlightened. So that we use as a guideline, right? So, okay, if we want to be fully enlightened, it's a process. It takes time. You may not even do it in one lifetime. But going through the process of doing the inner work is so important. Connecting on a daily basis. So, we just want to graduate, right? Because many of us already came from those, whatever it's 4, 5, 6D. Okay, may be able to get there, but we still got to clear whatever we need to clear in our emotional body, our mental body, our physical. So we're going through that. We're going through this transformation process because we're not free from this realm just because we're here. We still have to heal ourselves, right? We still have to forgive. We have to learn how to love more. And this is what we're learning. We're learning this in a great way, and everything is sped up fast. So, I'm honored to be here, actually, and experience it. Because, in my younger years, I had to go through the death process, so-called, car accident, and, so you have a different understanding of life, right? And to experience life, and to say, okay, you respect it. So there's a lot to, it depends what we need to experience here in our life. Some of us have a smooth transition. They don't have much spiritual baggage. Some got a wild experience, But there's a lot going on. We'll get into more, so I don't want to go on too much.
Darryl, when you're talking about, I mean, talking to you and Christine and Huna as well, opened up my eyes to how the indigenous communities have, as far as their connection to, what is often referred to as ETs, or aliens, but the indigenous communities refer to them as star nations. And it's very much a part of the culture and understanding of your worldview and even your interactions and what you're able to connect to within the cosmos and bring onto the planet and vice versa. The lines of communication are open. This is new. This is not the norm for the majority, I think, of the people living on the planet. When you spoke of even the portals in certain parts of the world and the Hopis moving in and moving out in certain portals, can you speak a little bit more about that? What are we talking about when we're talking about portals? And where does one go? Because when we've spoken about this in previous interviews as well, this realm that we're existing within, and I'd love to hear your take on it more, is basically the lowest. And when we're speaking of the star nations or extraterrestrials, as is often referred to, they're on higher frequencies. They're in higher realms.
Yeah.
And I want for you to dive into it a little bit more about the understanding of portals and how we communicate with other beings within the cosmos and why that's relevant and what that even points to. Like, are we that, or do we have family there, or what is the connection to star nations?
Well, you see, you referred to this realm as the lowest, right? So we always hear about 3D, the lowest, but the lowest is the highest, right? Because everything is one, right? So it's just our perception. We can stay in the lowest form of consciousness if we want. But here is a unique spiritual school with Mother Earth. You can go to 3D to 20D if you want. It's just what you do with your time here, right? That's what it's all about. So our star families, we are our star families. That's who we are. Like I said, when Sky Woman came in through the sun, she was one of the star families. She came in physical form through, either she was, who knows what. We always trace our lineage back, right? So it could be Pleiadian, Sirian, Orion. And then the Lyrans were basically our great-grandparents here. So these beings, they were the first ones who seeded our galaxy, let's put it that way. So yeah, that's who we are. We are star families. We are them. And we keep coming here to bring about change to help the planet evolve to the next level. See, we evolve it to the next level, then it crashes, it goes back down, right? Because, humanity gets crazy. You start becoming mad scientists like we see on the planet right now. This happened at Atlantis. And we're going through that right now. We see the transhumanism, transgenderism, you name it. They're mixing animals with humans and everything under the sun. It gets quite crazy, right? But at the same time, there's always a counterbalance to that. It's beautiful at the same time, you see? Depends what you're focusing on, right? Right now, there's a big war going on in Ukraine. And, I've been looking at this because it's just a cycle. You got First World, Second World War. They were all within the Hopi prophecies, right? They knew it was coming beforehand. So I was watching it for the last 10 years. I'm looking at it, even longer than that. 20 years ago, I was talking to my nephew. And he said, yeah, there's a big war coming on the planet. Why? Because there's a lot of dark beings on this planet. And a lot of us who come from the higher star nations we've been working through this stuff for eons. These darkies, okay, if you want to call them that, they're our brothers. They're just lost. That's all. They're all part of Source, and we've been sort of battling with them. And right now, we're in a situation where, with the prophecies, and you have many star nations. You see, we talk about this, like many people don't like to discuss about that aspect on the planet. That's the heavy dark side war, right? It's not everybody wants to talk about this, but there's some star beings on the planet who don't want to discuss it because they're so empathic. It hurts them inside, because there's a lot of fear. So their frequency, by avoiding it, it helps to neutralize it. The star beings who talk about it, I talk about it often with my nephews and friends. It's not that we want war, because we know what happened in the past is happening now, and we know where we came from, and because we've been doing this a long time. So when we talk about it, our frequency at the same time is neutralizing it too. So even the empaths and their avoidance of it is neutralizing it. So when we look at it from an overview, like an eagle looking down, we're both doing the same work from a different outlook at it. You see? Now, this situation may grow. We say, okay, what is hope? We hope it doesn't. But it got to this point. I remember Cryon, Lee Carroll. I listen to the channels, right? I really listen to what they're saying. And I run it by my prophecies, like I said, in my culture. And I use it. I use it as a platform. So I remember Lee Carroll, he said, this was many years ago. He said, he was keeping incarnating here. He's talking about the light workers. He says, you know very well when you incarnate it that they can blow up the planet. But he says, you still do it. Why? Not as dedication, right? Because we know all the beings here. There's only a certain amount of us that keep coming back to help enlighten the rest of them, right? They need to raise their vibration. They need to get to another level and stay there. So we sacrifice ourselves by, coming back. But it's service. It's service. That's all it is. And that's no problem. Like I said, we're in an experiment. So when you understand that, it's, you got to be happy and love what we're doing, right? And, even though we're experiencing some, you may refer to as dark, okay, there's a war going on the planet. They're threatening each other every day to press buttons and nuke each other. And we're looking at it and saying, well, we got a lot of psychopaths on the planet. They have this technology. They're very powerful people, let me tell you, what they have in that way. It's a dark, and they're holding humanity hostage. Who are they to say, well, we're going to fight with each other, we're going to blow each other up? Well, they're going to affect everybody on the planet, right? Yeah. So I said, okay, you want to play your games? Well, maybe Mother Earth is just going to say, yeah, you want to play around? I'm going to just do a little flip here on you. Okay, do a pole shift, clean the whole situation up that fast, or we'll get a solar flash and clean it all up. Because that's devastating if you go into that kind of situation on the planet, a nuclear showdown. I've heard so many things about, Star Family's going to intervene. They're not going to let this happen. They're going to shut down the missiles. And I tell people, I says, I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if they're going to take on our karma, because that's a heavy thing to take on. Because they've done it twice in war in Japan. They bombed Japan, Hiroshima, and they didn't stop it. And they've tested so many of these weapons all over the planet. You name it, every nation that has them. and it wasn't stopped. Now maybe when it gets to an accelerated, point, they will, you know. But I know Mother Earth's in charge here. I'm not worried about this stuff, you know. See, we're talking about it now. I'm explaining to you an understanding I have, okay? Because I know as natives, we know our history, where we've come from. With this so-called negative force on the planet. It's a reptilian mindset, right? It comes from the other side. And they have this within them. It's within the DNA. So they have to try and dominate and control. Hopefully, I don't like using that word hope because it doesn't really mean too much, We want to see change. And we know we can't change everybody. We know we're not going to fix the ones who are hell-bent. They just have to go down with it, the ship, whatever they create, they're going to do it. That's going to happen. See, we gotta live in reality and face reality here, what's going on the planet, because we've been going through it 500 years now here on Turtle Island. Okay, so we went through all this, our ancestors, for almost 400 years, wars, fighting, killing, all this stuff. So it's coming back now full circle. So I say, okay, you have the U.S., their karma is coming back full circle to them. You have Russia, China. They have karmas because they're going up against it. It's karma full circle coming. How far is it going to go to them? You see? So we're experiencing this for a reason. So we have to look at it. Look at the reality of everything, you see? The more we understand, the more we can fix it faster. If it has to accelerate to a bigger war, we want it to be over fast, right? You don't want it to drag on and drag on. So it's all about energy. This is energy. We talk about negative energy, positive energy. It's all great spirit. It doesn't matter. It's great spirit. If the darkies here with all these forces weren't supposed to be here, they wouldn't be here. There's a reason why. We have to do our job. We can't avoid nothing. We have to look at everything and face it and work through it. That's life. You see?
Yeah, and Darryl, I think when you were talking about earlier on around the connecting to Mother Earth, I feel like if for people when they hear all of that stuff and they're just like, this big wave kind of hits them of, well, what do I do? What does one person do? To me, it all comes back to the same thing. You talked earlier about, Mother Earth doesn't need you to do anything necessarily for it. I remember Dr. David Hawkins talking about that once too. He said, people want to change the world, but the world doesn't need you to change it. It basically just comes back to you individually doing the shifts that you need to do. And ultimately, that's what's going to create the biggest change. I find right now, and this is something that we've been doing a lot of as well, but it's really taking the time to connect to Mother Earth on a regular basis, like actually practically showing up to do it, and let that be a number one priority in your life. Because the thing is, and this is where I think people get stuck with it, is it's the idea that we can actually be informed spontaneously when we're connected to it, and that will guide us as to what to do next. And when we try to figure it out from the logical linear mind and think all down the road from where we are right now, it just becomes stressful, and you're acting out of usually fear, and it's not going to ultimately be in the highest good. So it's this faith that if we are connecting to something bigger than our own intellect, then we can sort of sit and be guided and then know what the next piece is and then act when it comes up.
I think many of us are being guided to that anyhow. It's like the things that used to be exciting and thrilling and desirable no longer have
The same pull.
the same pull anymore. Like right now, Darryl, I feel like if I can spend all day in our garden with our chickens, I'm happy. Like I actually watch our chickens, and just yesterday I was down there, and I'm reading this really great book by it was channeled. It's called Step by Step, and it's Ascended Master Discourses. But I'm just sitting on a log and in our small garden there, and the chickens are walking around, and there's, unbeknownst to me, there's a hawk that flies overhead. All I see is our mother hen, who has her 4 little newly hatched eggs, her little chicks there, and she just kind of lowers herself lower to the ground. And I looked at her and I look up, I'm like, oh, there's a hawk, you beautiful thing. And then it's like, as soon as she sits down, the chicks know to gather in and get underneath her. And she's actually going into, I call it the garlic forest, but our garlics have grown quite tall now. And they go into the forest if there's any danger or if she wants to keep her chicks hidden. And that's where she sits with them. And I'm, I look overhead, the hawk has flown by, but the mother hen is still tuned in. And I said to Jay, it's like, it's something formidable to actually look at animals, because their intelligence and their supreme connection to the field that surrounds us all, they're so in tune with that. And we've lost that in so many ways, and it's coming back to us because we're coming more in tune with it, because I feel like the world around us on an intellectual level just doesn't make sense. You look around, nothing makes sense. And so we're kind of being guided to this internal guidance system because this external authority has failed us. So we're going within. So we're all being guided to go within. But there's such a powerful force and field that informs all of us when we start to function on this level.
Yeah. So, like Jason was saying a while ago, people are thinking that they can't do nothing. Well, if you go meditate, you're doing everything right there because you're connecting. You see, we put our love into the grid, into the field, into Mother Earth, and that is what propels the transformation of joy on the planet, of higher consciousness. So everything we do, all the words we speak, the ceremonies, the meditations, that's all we need to do, you see? We need to connect. So when we connect, we're connecting to Source, and we're helping Mother Earth to go through this. We're just bringing energy to it. We're bringing energy and energy. See, if Mother Earth, we didn't do this, Mother Earth will do it anyways, right? She'll just do it anyways maybe in a more, because nature doesn't give leeway. If you're not in the right place at the right time, let me tell you, there's a tsunami coming, she's going to do it. You got to clear up energy there, she's going to do it. So what we do, it helps release and transform energy into more light, right? So we're lightening the load. Mother Earth carries a lot of karma for us, right? Because we are, we're little rascals here on this planet, at times, So we work through this energy at the same time. But like what you're saying, Tia, about she's watching her babies, right? To the hawk. See, you got to be careful here because there's always something. And that's what we have to look at. We're not free here. Anything goes here in this realm, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, it's all happening simultaneously. So you always have to be vigilant of what is around you, what's going on. Nationalities have their stuff they're working on. They have their karma. Nation, it comes to nation, not just individual. So everybody born within that nation has that thing to understand as a nation, the collective family to deal with. So this is where we're at right now. But it's getting back to that. Working in your garden, like you said, you see? Working with the earth. So you ground. You're grounded to Mother Earth. Your hands are under your feet are on the ground. You see. So, what are you doing when you're doing that? You're connecting with the Divine Mother, Sky Woman, right? Whatever you refer to it as, and at the same time, you're growing and evolving. But take it to another level. Beyond that, that's what we need to do, right? If that's all you do, then make that a meditation. Make your garden in a meditation while you're in it. Right? Sing to Mother Earth. Communicate with her, talk with her. When you do that, your vibration will raise, your frequency will raise. See, our ancestors were always doing this because they needed to plant. My mother told me she went through the Second World War. She said, if we didn't plant, we didn't eat, right? So today we're going to go to the store. We're going to buy our potatoes, our vegetables, our fruits, or, whatever we like. Well, we're lucky. So what happens if there's no food? You got to plant, right? I mean, we live in the Northern Hemisphere. So we're dependent on a lot of our food being imported, right? So, I tell people, well, there'll come a time when we might have to put something away for a little while, to make us through a few months. So, but yeah, I see, you're working, what are you planting? Are you planting food? Herbs? What are you planting?
Yeah,
All of it.
we've been doing a bunch of it. It's been really enjoyable, and it's been really fun with our 5 and 7-year-old too, and the grandparents were all in there. But we've planted lots of food, and then one thing,
Potatoes, beets, carrots,
kale, lettuce,
celery.
you name it.
They're going all out.
Yeah, and we've got a big section for herbs too, and something that we've been doing that's been really fun, and I've been really drawn to the last while. And my 7-year-old, we've been foraging for, wild plants and looking out and just being aware of how many, quote unquote weeds are actually really powerful medicine. And these are things I've used for decades as a naturopathic doctor, but I've never been so hands-on with them. They've come as sort of pre-done tinctures and we've mixed them. But now my daughter and I are out and she's like, oh, Daddy, there's cleavers and there's mullein and that's good for this. And so now we're harvesting them, and chickweed, and now we're harvesting them, we're drying them, we're making teas, and I'm making tinctures for them in different places. And they show up everywhere. I mean, we were just saying the other day, it's, when you really are clear with something that you want to experience, but you're not attached to how it shows up or the outcome of it, it just sort of appears. Like I was reading about mullein the other day, one of the plants that is indigenous around here. And I was talking to my daughter about that and my family, and I wanted to get that because I wanted to make tinctures out of it. It's a really natural one for mucous membranes and good antimicrobial and ear infections and all sorts of stuff. And I wanted to make our own tinctures from it. And lo and behold, my daughter's out there the other day. She's like, Daddy, look, we went out and counted, and there was like 3 mullein plants that just started to sprout up just outside in our backyard, literally.
I think what it does is it actually softens our hearts and tenderizes us, because we realize just how conscious Mother Earth is. We hear of it, but then when you open up the lines of communication and you actually admire and show up to really see her from moment to moment, you realize there's a feedback. Like you ask for something and then a day later it shows up, not randomly, but because you asked for it. Like she is so generous and so like we are really her children. Like this is the consciousness. And it's such a beautiful thing to witness firsthand.
And it becomes tangible, like you just start to feel it. It's like, for me, even recognizing the abundance of these weeds that we call them, we want to get rid of because they're a nuisance, but to actually see them through new eyes and see the sacredness in the plant, because you recognize, oh my gosh, this is like powerful medicine
It's
all
actually
around
showing up
us.
for you,
And
like
it's popping up
specifically.
specifically, I feel like, for us to use it. And I can see a remembering happening in my 7-year-old where she's like, oh, Daddy, that's good for this or this, or that's good for this or this. And it's just this really beautiful process right now of genuinely having the time to really see nature with the on reverence that I feel is inherent in it, but that we've kind of been disconnected from it because we've just gotten so busy in the sort of outside world, and it's so beautiful when you get a chance to really genuinely connect to it in that way and appreciate it.
Yeah, it's amazing when you're teaching the children, so they're learning about the plants and they're learning how to take care of themselves. With the detoxing, the teas, the plants, the medicine, because everything here, right? All the medicines are there to purify us, keep us healthy, right? So since the Industrial Revolution, we've had a big disconnect with Mother Earth, right? So now you make that connection, that relationship back with Mother Earth, and that's all we need to do, right? You know, you could sit there and meditate on a tree or a rock, and it'll give you the wisdom you need, right, to make it through everything. It's all within Mother Earth. That's all we need. But we're at such a fast-paced world where there's so much going on, and if we just take time to do that, to connect back with nature, creation, Mother Earth, and we see how simple life can be, right? And you got to keep it simple, because if you have too much going on, if you're away, running all over the place, and you don't connect back to the earth, then I see so many people going out of balance in their life. So, we'll take a walk in the bush, I'll tell some people, do a ceremony in the bush, take a walk in the bush, and then, maybe they'll see an animal will come to them, a guide, and that's the ancestors talking to you, they'll tell you what you need to do. Yeah. Like that hawk you seen. So a hawk always gets its prey, right? They never miss. They're one of the birds that never miss. So you look at it on every scale where you can get whatever you want in your life. You can be like that hawk. But as long as you're doing it for the betterment of all, right? Of all society, our whole family, everybody's family on the planet, right? We're one big, family. It's dysfunctional, but we're trying to bring it back to a balance. And, sometimes we've been taking us many lifetimes to create a better balance. So this is what we're going through. And I think in the next coming years, I'm looking at our prophecies, and I'm listening to a lot of the scientists who are not in the system, because when they're not in the system, they tell it like it is, because they're not afraid of getting fired or something else happening, right? So they tell it like it is, and what they're saying is pretty drastic, right? Because prophecy, it doesn't matter if you're reading the book of Revelation, the Bible, it's drastic stuff, prophecy, right? It's not a bed of roses. You're going through a shift here, you know. I always say, a woman gives birth. It's painful, right? So we're going through a rebirth, and Mother Earth's going through a rebirth. And so there's a lot of painful stuff, but how do we perceive that? It can be joyful, but it's all perception in our mind. Our mind has to be right. The mind and heart, when it's right, we don't look at anything as bad. We look at it's necessary for the well-being of everybody for the future. So, there was some heavy-duty earthquakes on the planet in the last 15 years. There was a reason for these things. It cleared energy from that area, and it creates balance for the future. So you can't look at it as a bad thing. So we can't get caught up in the dark side of things, right? If you want to look at it as dark side, there's no dark, right? It's just energy.
Darryl, from your perspective, and from your knowledge of the traditions, where are we right at the moment?
Um, you mean where are we prophecy wise?
Yeah.
We're right in that threshold right now. Yeah. So we're literally I'd say we're so close. Things can happen literally tomorrow, today, or we can have another discussion in 5 or 10 years and we'll still be talking about it. Mother Earth has a way of slowing things down or speeding things up. But, we're going to see some heavy changes in our lifetime. And by I mean heavy, I don't mean negative. It's going to be beautiful, heavy things, okay? So we're going to go through changes on the planet, and we see it with the sun every day. There's so many solar flares coming to the Earth now, right? So it's preparing humanity. It's preparing Mother Earth with the photons and all this scalar energy, right? It's quantum. It's beyond what we can comprehend. So we're there. We're there. It's just enjoying the ride. You see? Enjoy the ride. Don't get caught up in the fear. Choose love. There's one emotion here that has a great effect on people, right? That's fear. And then love is consciousness, right? So choose that state of consciousness. And then we don't have to worry about nothing. We don't have to fear nothing. What's there to fear? Really? It's your own mind that creates it, right? What about this? What about that? What about it? Well, let it happen. This is the way we look at stuff. Natives, we're like, okay, you can't. We have a saying, like when you go get water out of a stream, you dip with the flow, with the current. Don't go against it. Don't try and take the water against the current, right? Because then you're going against creation. Whatever creation does, we tell Mother Earth, whatever you have to do, we support you 100%, right? Do your job. We'll do our job. We're not going to go against nature and creation. Say, don't do this, don't do that, please. No, we'll say, go ahead, we're happy. Whatever you need to do, do it. Because it's for the goodness of everybody. Yeah.
I think too, Darryl, one of the reasons as to why, I mean, it's not an intellectual endeavor in even the types of series that we hold. We literally receive the title that we're supposed to be focusing in on a few weeks before the series comes about. So we just follow that and we put it out there. But with this Life, Death, and Beyond series, I feel like one of the benefits is that when we're not so attached to the physicality, to just what we know within the material world, and we start to know that we're the spirit embodying this physical temporarily, then automatically there's a feeling of non-attachment. We're not just this. And then so even the process of death as we know it, or transitioning into another realm, might become easier. And I say this because we have come to terms with that too. It's like ultimately all we can do is, meditate, ground, connect with the sacredness of the planet, of the field, and do all we can as we're being guided to do from moment to moment. And anything beyond that, it's like you said, trusting that ultimately what the earth, what the planet needs to go through, and the transitions that we ultimately signed up for on the spirit level, we're going to go through. And if that means the transition of this physical body into beyond and then reincarnating as something else at another time, then that's something that we've come to terms with.
If we got to go down with the ship again, we'll do it. It's just an experiment here. We're here and we continue on coming back, and we'll continue on. So, a while ago I talked about that feast, right? To help the spirit and to help the family. Now, you can do this right at your home. Someone doesn't have to pass away to do this. Everyone should do this. In our native culture, say do it once a year in your home. So you call in all your ancestors. You can, when you're having dinner with your children, you just make a little plate, everything you're eating, put it there for spirit, call in spirit. And our ancestors will come and they'll eat with you. And you ask for guidance in your life. Whatever you would like in your life, they'll help you. You see? So we're making an offering. And then you can go offer that to the water if you want, or you can bury it. Leave some berries with it. And we use the sacred tobacco, of course. We do ceremony. And then but you could do it in your own way. If you want, I can send you tobacco. And this will help you have harmony in your home and with your family and your children. So you're bringing them up, I always share my culture. I say, you want to do it this way, do it your own way. But I know it works for me, and a lot of people, like non-natives, come and I say, okay, do the ceremony, do that. And they do it, and they love it, right? Because it's ancient, right? It's from ancestral, way back. So, we have to share what we were given. If we don't share it, we lose it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Share what you know. Most people, I know a lot of people, they like to hold on to, and they don't want to share what they learn. And I say, that's not good. We're all one family here. So I myself, I learned from the Buddhists. I learned from the Indians in India, Chinese. I'll learn from anybody. And, I'll share what I know. And this is what we need to do. We need to bridge the gaps between cultures, right? How are we, we claim to be a family, then no, you can't use my stuff, or, no. Great Spirit gave everybody gifts. So, he gave the black people a gift, he gave the Chinese, the brown race, that's in our medicine wheel, right? So the medicine wheel talks about it. The white race, you're supposed to take care of the air on the planet. The yellow race supposed to take care of the water. The black race, the fire, the red race, they're supposed to take care of the earth. So we all have a responsibility to do on the planet. But a lot of people are not doing they're taking care of their responsibilities. You see? So what happens if you don't take care of your responsibilities? Mother Earth takes over. And she'll move her back, and okay, you're not doing what you came here to do, So I know the Hopis, the Mayans, the Mayan calendar, they were given wonderful gifts, and prophecy too, to share with humanity. So it lets us know where we're at, but it's a puzzle. So we got to put that puzzle together. If you're Christian, and I'll say, read the Bible, but the Bible doesn't belong to the Christians, right? It was hijacked. It predates the Bible by thousands of years. It's all a book of prophecy, right? And it's a book of higher teachings and channel. It's all channelings, the Bible. So learn, share with others, but we have to know the truth and know what is truth. And the interpretation is important. I hear a lot of people, I listen to this preacher, and he's interpreting the Bible, and I think I understand in many aspects more of the Bible than he does. Not to say I know better, but it's by studying other cultures, when you know what you're reading, you feel it. There's metaphors, right? And you can't take things literally. So
Mhm.
you have to understand the spirit behind, read between the lines when you read something, because it's giving you a different message. And depends where your vibrational frequency is at, you'll get something totally different than somebody else will receive. So, but it's being in connection with Mother Earth. That's important. She came here and gave us this situation, created all this for us. So we're here. It's a playground. So let's have fun here and do the best we can to serve each other and help each other, no matter what's going on. Because there's, how do we refer to what we're experiencing on a daily basis? If you put on the news, you're going to see a madhouse here on the planet. There's a bunch of monkeys here running the show, right? And the crazy monkeys, So it's like what you do is you bring a good understanding to your family. It starts at home. Your children, you're teaching them to connect with Mother Earth, nature. Your extended family, your friends. Then you got a small community. Whatever, you get spiritual gatherings, you meditate together. That's great. So I got a group coming here every once in a while. They come and they meditate. So we're doing service that way as a group. So that's what we need to do. And little groups all over the planet are doing this. They're meditating, whether they're Buddhist, Chinese, it doesn't matter. Everybody's doing their part. So they're adding to the love of the planet, the grid. And we're here now. So we got to do the best we can. But yeah, getting back to that, we're so close to that time because I have people come to me and now there's been a few people have come to me and they said, Darryl, I've had dreams that like we're in the mountains. He said, I don't know where it is. He says, yeah, that's our prophecy. And I says, yeah, we're going to go back to the mountains, certain locations, and many people will be guided there, all nationalities. But it's all over the planet. Tia, you're from Iran?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in Iran, maybe people will be guided to a mountain there, you know what I mean? And they'll be put through their sacred place and they'll be taken care of. And it goes on all over the world. Jason, what's your ancestry?
My dad is Norwegian. My dad's side is Norwegian and Scottish, and then English.
Okay, so you see, we look at that. We look at our physical, right? So we go beyond that, right? They look at our people, call us Mohawk. We're not Mohawk, right? We call ourselves Kanyake, right? That's the people of the Flint. But we're not even that. We're spirit, right? We're from the essence of source, right? We're from the sun, huh? So it's going beyond our nationality even. So that's what we need to remember and get beyond just, I'm Mohawk, I'm Iranian, whoever you are, what nationality, I'm white, I'm black, I'm red, and we got to go deeper than race,
Mm-hmm.
to understand the spirit of family and how do we connect as that family. It's here on this plane, I think if we don't go through the shift with Mother Earth and we don't go through this ascension, 3D will stay 3D. We've been here a long time, incarnating here, and humanity's still at a level in nursery right now. Because from one day to the next, they love each other. The next day, they want to kill each other. So where's the evolution? There's handfuls of people evolving. I remember stories of the past. They says when Mother Earth went through it, this great cycle in the Mayan calendar. I think it was 2 cycles ago, so 50,000 years, they says nobody ascended. And the last one, I think there was a handful on the planet who were able to ascend. They didn't do it. They stayed behind to help, sacrifice, right? So now there's many on the planet who can ascend. There's millions now because we've evolved to that point. But you still have 8 billion people who are sleepwalking. So how long would it take if we don't go through this, right? Sometimes you got to be shaken to wake up. And this is what's happening. So, you know, we're going through the we have our 7th generation prophecy. That's what I'm referring to you as. It goes back to a time when, before our sisters and brothers came across the great waters, where you had 2 Ganyakehaga men, they were fishing in the water, and they were on a canoe. And they seen this beautiful creature glowing in the distance on the water. Did I talk about this last time? No? So they went and they paddled up to it. And it was glowing gold and silver. And it was in the water. So they took it out of the water, if it could fit in your palm. It had 2 heads, gold and silver, little creature. So they brought it back to the village. This is our prophecy. And so the elders at the time, they told them, the medicine man, the shaman, and the woman, they says, this is referring to our sisters and brothers across the water who are coming. So what they did is they took care of this little creature. And it started growing so fast. It grew to a point, now they had to feed it rabbits. It's eating all their livestock. It grew so fast. They had to put it in a cage. So it got so big, it was eating up everything. One day they noticed children were missing. They could see it squirming in the belly. So they went and attacked it because it was now getting to attack the children and people. So it broke out of the cage and it split in 2. One went to the north, one went to the south, gold and silver. So this was symbolic of what was coming. And we refer to this as governments, Canada and the US. So wherever it went, it destroyed the land. And it created destruction all over. So at this time, our people went back into the mountains. They fled from it because it got too big and too powerful. These serpents. So now the time of the 7th generation is here. These serpents are going to come back. It says they're going to try and annihilate us now. Okay? Physically. So we're at that point, and they said there's going to be a little boy who's going to use a strand of hair from the clan mother. So he's going to use the wisdom from the woman, which is unconditional love. And he's going to shoot it into the heart of the serpent and destroy it. You see? That's truth. That's unconditional love and truth. Because the woman carry this. So they take care of the children. See, men will go fight, but that's, you know, we won't think twice, because if we have to protect our family, we're going to do that. But the women have this unconditionalness in them. Because they take care of the babies. They take care of you. So we're in a situation where we're in this prophecy right now. And I told many, I says, in the last 3 years, well, it started actually in 1990 when there was a big situation going on here on our reservation, and they sent the Canadian Army here. They sent 5,000 troops that were going to come into our reservation. And there was they took over the other Mohawk reservation in about 40, 50 miles north of us. My friends were there, and there was a big fight, gun battles and everything. And they were coming into our reservation with the troops. And I says, oh, this is our prophecy, the 7th generation. It's unfolding. But the whole thing, it got resolved after about 3 months. And now it's coming back. I told our people, I says, they don't have to come here no more with guns and shoot us. You got to look at prophecy and interpret it. So we have this whole situation that started with the vaccinations. I says, they're gonna get us that way. They don't have to come here and do anything to us. They're just gonna inject us. And if you fall prey to it and you don't understand the prophecy, and most of our people don't get it. But when this is something that came to me, it's insight, right? So when you're on the spiritual path, you'll get insight into certain things. So you have to understand prophecy speaks to us in many ways, not just in one way. It's never just one way. You can look at it in many ways, and you have to be open to it, because spirit will, and things are always changing in the universe, right? Universe is growing, always shifting, always changing. Mother Earth the same way. So we have to be open to this. So we looked at this aspect, and that's prophecy right there unfolding. So we're at that level within it, within our 7-generation prophecy. It says 7 generations after our sisters and brothers came across the great waters that this is going to happen. So 1 generation is grandmother, her daughter, her granddaughter. It spans 70 years, right? This I think I spoke to you about. And if you go 70 years times 7, that's 490 years. 500, you give or take a decade or two. Nothing's ever accurate in that aspect. Even like, I say with the Mayan calendar, I remember listening to the Mayan elder. He said, 2012 is not the end of the world. He says, we never said that. This was a group of scientists who said that because of the Earth wobble, right? The precession of the equinox of the Earth wobbles. In 25,920 years, it takes one wobble. So they said that was the closest they could get it in 2012 to that precession being completed. But with their calendar, it's not 100% accurate. So it might be like right now, like I was talking about earlier. So we're right there and the Mayan elder said, yeah, he said it always happens after that, the precession. He says, the sun is going to change. What does that mean? You're going to interpret that. The sun is changing, right? Okay, we're hearing about a solar flash, right? It's, they talk about it, the Mayans. And Kali Yuga from India, they talk about that there's going to be the sun particle fire. It's going to usher the earth into another realm, right? So they will shift the earth's axis. But by then, we should be in the sacred locations. And we won't even experience all the earth changes if we listen. So that's the salvation part, not to be in fear, right? We'll be guided. Yeah.
Darryl, I think that's that all I think sheds lots of different light and perspective for people. Maybe in closing, because we've talked lots about connecting into Mother Nature and whatnot. We've talked about getting our hands in the dirt and spending time. Any other suggestions for people on how they can connect more directly with Mother Nature and be able to connect to that type of guidance before we finish up?
Yeah, it's just meditate on Mother Earth. Go out in your yard, walk on Mother Earth ground, and offer a song to Mother Earth. Like I said, you can make an offering, offer some food, bring an apple out, offer it to a tree. You see, if you want to do a little feast, do that. Bring it to the water. And these things are simple little rituals that make a difference in your life and everybody else's life. See? But meditation is the key. Contemplate. If you don't have time to meditate, contemplate. Everybody has time when they get in bed. Before they get out of bed or when they're in bed at night going to sleep, you could connect with Great Spirit and Mother Earth for 5 minutes before you crash out, right? And during the day, you can go out, you can take a walk on the beach. How far are you from the water?
We're really close. Where we happen to be right at the moment,
The
it's
ocean?
we could walk down to the ocean. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. See? So you have that vast energy of the ocean there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we've been
It's
fortunate to
strong.
be where we are right now and be able to have access to that area. One other thing that has been really beautiful too, and when you were talking about even like give an offering to Mother Earth, I mean for a lot of North Americaners, I'd say that's an odd concept for most of them. They're not used to doing that. One thing one thing that we've been doing with our kids too, and because this is also instilled in the education that they're getting too, they're in
Nature
a
school.
nature school and very much tied to nature principles. And there's an offering that's regularly done to Mother Earth all the time. So even when we go, there's a underground spring that we'll go and collect water at once a week. We'll probably go and be doing this after this interview. And we take our jugs up and we go and fill it up from the underground spring. But it's really beautiful because people that go there all leave an offering. You'll see them. There's flowers, there's crystals, there's gems, there's little offerings made up. Our girls now go there, and the one actually takes a moment in the corner and she makes up like a little with flowers and does it all
leaves.
up in leaves and puts a crystal there. And so it's a really beautiful space. You walk into there and it's just and now the girls, it's second nature. They know to do that. It's and they're singing songs along the way. So it's
And the environment itself is really conducive to actually sitting in meditation and finding that calm place. But I feel like we've even enhanced that because we all go up, all of us who go to collect water, with the intention of appreciating the sacredness, appreciating the gift that Mother is offering us. From the wellspring of her bosom, literally, that she gives us this clean, fresh water. So it's a two-way enhancement of that relationship and of that space, which is quite beautiful.
Yeah. So Mother Earth gives us everything, right? Constantly gives us life. So if we want to pick some medicine, say we need cedar because, you know, pine. So we go and leave something for the medicine. You know, we'll leave some sacred tobacco, or if you don't have tobacco, you could leave something else as a gift. And you go pick off another tree. You know, it's give and take, give and take. So you're showing respect for nature and creation. This way, you always receive back. Mother Earth will give you 10 times more than what you give to her. Let me tell you, this is the way it always works. And it's not that we want back, it's just that it's a way of life. So when you teach your children, they have this respect and they don't take. They're not takers, they're givers. And then you're just like going through life and you're like, oh man, I got some abundance, came out of nowhere, right? And this is the way it works. And it's good karma.
Darryl, I want to ask you, so when you were talking about the gold and silver, it brought up something that I've been kind of watching or looking at recently, and it has to do with Elena Denan and Dr. Michael Salla and
Yeah.
Alex Collier. You're familiar with all of them. They've been talking for decades about star nations or aliens, ETs. And Elena Denan wrote a book that she published recently called Cedars, and she kind of illustrates her whole journey through from the time that she was a little girl until now, and her connection with the cosmos and the ETs. And specifically now she's speaking of Enlil and Enki, so the sons of the Anunnaki race, and talking about them being one of the cedars, and specifically Enki returning now. So Enlil was the son who basically wanted to enslave humanity, whereas Enki was the one who fell in love with humanity. Enlil apparently defeated Enki, who didn't have a say for a long time in the world affairs, but Enki is now returning, and he's offering a gift to humanity with it, which is immortality, or at least 1,000 years of life. But I was curious to know your viewpoints on that, and where the indigenous community is with the Anunnaki and that whole story of Enlil and Enki.
Well, there's a lot of distortions, right, in the truth. It becomes twisted. Like when you look at Enlil and Enki, the story, there's another version, of course. The good guy's the bad guy, the bad guy's the good guy, right? So there's confusion in that with people. And, like I said, I run everything by our creation story. And, we have the twins in the creation story, right? Taunahuago and his brother, there was a good twin and a negative twin. So you got to go back to that, to the beginning, right?
Sorry, there's also Cain and Abel as well. So lots of these similar stories throughout different cultures.
Exactly. So you have the stories. So you have to run it by now it's understanding truth, right? And intuition. So when people are lost and they don't know what is truth, you have to go inside and find your truth. And then what is it offering you? Like you're saying, it's going to offer you 1,000 years of life. How are you going to get that 1,000 years of life, right? What is it doing? Are they want to put a chip in you? Are they going to inject you? Well, then hey, wait a minute here. That's not 1,000 years of life I want to be. I don't want to be an AI robot, right? So you got to have spiritual common sense and apply it to prophecy. You got to apply it to life, and then you'll know who's the good guy and who's the darky here on the planet. Because there's obviously a very dark side here, and it's here already, What they refer to it as Satan, Lucifer, that's referring to, the reptilian race. That's who they are. So they're AI, artificial intelligence. So we know very well that it runs hand in hand what's been going on in the last few years in a big way, with the 5D, 5G, and all these technologies coming about. And, you even hear of Elon Musk talking about it. But yeah, so when it comes down to all these people, like I say, all the channelers on the planet, I really listen to them. You need a foundation when you hear these people. If you don't have it's easy to get lost and to get pulled into a lot of them are good, some of them are BS, right? So they could suck in a lot of people, and it's not truth. Whether they realize it or not, I think they're channeling a good light being, and it's really a dark being. And they're misled. And then next thing you know, you're following them, and it's leading you down a negative path. So you have to really go inside and look, connect with Mother Earth. She'll tell you. She'll tell you who the good guys here. She'll tell you who the darkies are. See, but you got to connect with her. Yeah.
Yeah, that has definitely been that's definitely been something that's come to me for a lot over this last while, is like, especially when you're in the midst of so much information overload and so many contradictory ideas between all sorts of things. The only thing that made sense to me was to dive deeper and deeper into my own connection to source, to Mother Earth, and then just let that be my own guidance. And then whatever comes to me that feels like truth or feels like inspiration that I want to then move forward in, that's what I kind of take. Otherwise, I feel like you can spend a lot of time kind of in just confusion, hearing all sorts of different things. So,
Exactly. So run it through your heart, right? Because
yeah.
our heart is connected directly with Mother Earth's heart. So Mother Earth, your higher self will not lie to you ever. So if you're listening to someone that sounds amazing, to live 1,000 years, or you're gonna have this, you're gonna have that. We hear a lot of this new age stuff going on. It's so old, but it's new now, but there's so many twists on it, right? There's so many truths that have been twisted to a point where it's not truth no more. The New Age movement, I always tell people, where the New Age movement came from? It came from out of India, right? They went there, they took the ancient teachings, they brought them here on this side of the world, they twisted them to make money, and it doesn't matter what you do. You think you're following a ancient teaching, but you're giving them your money, and it's wasting your energy and your time because you're following something that's not leading you to enlightenment. You see? So you have to listen to yourself. We have go in your heart, go right in the heart, go meditate in your heart, and your higher self, Mother Earth's going to tell you everything. Yeah.
I think that's the biggest message of our times right now is things are pushing people to have to go inside because ultimately I think they think so much other stuff doesn't make sense or it's all creating too much fear. It's like they're being driven to start to slow down and start to reconnect so that they can actually operate their life more from that place of inner authority.
Yeah, the information overload, of course. There's so much, especially when it comes to spirituality, right? There's a big deception going on. Why? It's because to create confusion within the light workers, because we are sort of like the engine of the spirituality. So if you have millions of light workers who are lost, who are drinking, smoking pot, or they're lost that way, and then they're lost in their spiritual teachings because they're following a bunch of people who are lost themselves. So it has a less effect on us happening faster for the light to have a full effect on Mother Earth. You see?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we want the process to be gradual and a smooth transition. But it's not always that way because of the confusion, right? The lies. And this is the way it is. There's a heavy dark force here. That's reality. If we can't comprehend that, then we've been going through this for aeons in the higher realms, fighting with that dark force. And it carries out here in 3D. It's going on the other realms too. So we have to really understand that aspect and understand reality and have common sense with everything. Not run and hide from anything, but face it and say, okay, this is where we're at, and this is what we have to do to help everybody, help our family, our collective family. And Mother Earth, we want to help Mother Earth, so we want to make our transition smoother. Because hey, if we if we go through what the prophecies are telling us, let me tell you, it's going to be wild. Oh, it's going to be something else, Hey, if all the prophecies happen in one day, it's going to be I don't know if people can handle that. It's going to be
A roller coaster ride.
Going to be a wild ride, let me tell you. So it's a gradual, we want gradual, right? That's what I'm seeing right now. But there's a negative force who wants the drasticness, right? Because they don't care about life. So, but we know better. Right? We know better. That's our inherent right within us. The love, the joy, bliss. That's what we need. We need that excitement. Create some excitement in your life. I always tell everybody, that's what it's all. Life can get mundane, right? Yeah, I'm bored. I'm with you. Hey, create some excitement. Do something. Do something different. Go jump in the river. Go have fun. Get out with your family. Go do something. But you have to do things in nature, and nature will give back to you. You feel rejuvenated, right? You go in nature. Or jump in the ocean and see how good it feels, right? It's amazing. It gives us everything.
I think we're going to go do some of that a little bit later. So anybody who's listening, buckle up and
And it's
and
pretty
share.
simple though, right? Like,
Well,
I
and
mean,
share with us some of the things that you guys do to connect to nature. I would like to hear what people are doing that is helping them develop more connection to nature and natural reverence for it. Take time to slow down, find stillness, have the intent to connect to Mother Nature.
mhm. Create ceremony, involve your kids in these rituals as well, in honoring the sacredness for the planet, because ultimately we are part of that within this reincarnation. So as you honor her, you're honoring yourself. So it's yeah, and opening up those communication lines.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Darryl, for being a part of this series again with us. We always love hearing your
Yeah.
insight, and I love hearing just the traditions and how that sort of ties in and overlaps with a lot of other pieces. I mean, this is part of the benefit of having lots of these conversations. You see, to me, the truth is where we start to see the constant overlap, and it lands in the heart. And when I start to see that, I know where the pieces are that are the most important. So thank you.
Okay, you're so welcome. From my heart, I'm grateful for what you guys are doing for humanity.